The road that appeared at midnight. There are thousands of roads across the United States. Highways that stretch across deserts. Quiet rural roads that disappear into forests. And small country roads that almost no one remembers. But somewhere in the state of Arkansas, there is a road that locals refuse to drive at night. A road that many people claim does not appear on maps. A road that some drivers say should not exist at all. This story was shared by a truck driver named Daniel Morris. And according to him, what happened that night changed the way he sees the world forever. Daniel had been a long-distance truck driver for nearly 15 years. He had driven through almost every state in the country. Late nights, empty highways, endless miles of road, that was simply part of the job. Nothing really surprised him anymore. Or at least, that's what he believed before that night. It was sometime around 2:30 in the morning. Daniel was driving through a rural part of Arkansas after making a delivery in Little Rock. The highway was almost completely empty. Only the sound of his engine and the hum of the tires filled the silence. He had about 3 hours left before reaching his next stop. And he was already feeling tired. That's when he noticed something strange. Up ahead, his GPS suddenly recalculated the route. Instead of continuing on the highway, it suggested taking a smaller road through the woods. Daniel frowned. Truck drivers usually avoid small back roads whenever possible. But the GPS insisted that this new route would save almost 40 minutes. So after thinking about it for a moment, he decided to follow it. That decision would become the biggest mistake of his life. The exit appeared suddenly. A narrow road leading into a dense forest. There were no streetlights, no buildings, no signs of civilization at all. Daniel slowed down the truck and turned onto the road. At first, everything seemed normal. The road was paved, smooth enough for a truck. But the deeper he drove into the forest, the more uncomfortable he started to feel. Something about the place didn't feel right. The trees were extremely tall. Their branches stretched across the road, blocking most of the moonlight. It felt like driving through a tunnel made of shadows. Daniel checked the GPS again. It still showed the route continuing forward. But then something even stranger happened. The radio suddenly filled with static. He tried changing the station. Every channel produced the same loud static noise. And then, for a brief moment, he thought he heard something inside the static. It sounded almost like a voice. But before he could understand it, the sound disappeared. Daniel tried to ignore it. He told himself it was probably just interference. But deep down, something about that road was starting to feel very wrong. About 20 minutes later, he noticed something even stranger. The road had been perfectly straight the entire time. No turns, no intersections, just one long path through the forest. That didn't make sense. Even rural roads usually curve or branch off somewhere. But this one didn't. Daniel checked the GPS again. The screen froze. Then it suddenly went black. Now the only light on the road came from his headlights. And for the first time that night, Daniel began to feel real fear. Then something appeared ahead of him. A figure, standing in the middle of the road. At first he thought it was a deer. But as the truck got closer, he realized it was a person. A man, standing perfectly still. Daniel immediately hit the brakes. The truck slowed down with a loud screech. But the man didn't move. He just stood there in the darkness, watching. Part 2: The Man Who Didn't Move. The truck finally came to a stop, about 20 feet from the man. Daniel sat frozen behind the wheel. The headlights illuminated the figure clearly now. The man was wearing old clothing. almost like something from decades ago. His face looked pale, and his eyes were completely blank. Daniel rolled down the window slightly. "Hey, are you okay?" he called out. The man didn't respond. He didn't blink. He didn't move. He just stood there. Then slowly, he began walking toward the truck. But something about the way he moved was wrong. His steps were slow, unnatural, almost mechanical. Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. He quickly rolled the window back up. The man continued approaching, step by step, until he was standing right beside the truck. For several seconds, neither of them moved. Then the man slowly turned his head toward Daniel and spoke, but the voice didn't sound human. It sounded distant, echoing, like it was coming from somewhere far away. And the words he said made Daniel's blood run cold. "You're not supposed to be here." Before Daniel could respond, something even more terrifying happened. The man suddenly disappeared. Not by walking away. Not by running into the forest. He simply vanished. One moment, he was standing beside the truck. And the next moment, he was gone. Daniel slammed the truck into gear and accelerated down the road. He didn't care where the road went anymore. He just wanted to get out of that forest. But the road seemed endless. The trees never ended. The darkness never lifted. Minutes passed. Then suddenly, the forest disappeared, and Daniel found himself back on the highway. The same highway he had left nearly an hour earlier. But the strange road behind him was gone. Completely gone. There was no exit. No road. Nothing. Part 3. The road that isn't on the map. The next morning, Daniel stopped at a truck stop diner. He told the story to another driver. At first, the man laughed. But then his expression changed. Because he had heard something similar before. Several drivers over the years had reported the same experience. A road that appeared late at night. A road through the forest. A man standing in the middle of it. And every single driver said the same thing. The man always spoke the same words. "You're not supposed to be here." Daniel later tried to find the road again. He checked maps, satellite images, local records, but no such road existed anywhere in that area. Even locals had never heard of it. Today, Daniel refuses to drive through that region at night. And many truck drivers now share the same warning. If your GPS suddenly tells you to take a small road through the woods after midnight, ignore it, because somewhere in Arkansas, there may still be a road that appears only at night. And if you find it, you might meet the man who stands in the middle of the road, waiting. Clapper board. End of story.